Welcome to Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Yvonne Wolf. Today, our special guest is retired middle school teacher and Glenview resident Joanne Verney with her first book, Meet Funky Nicky. Welcome, Joanne.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, Joanne, how or who motivated you to write this book?
I have nieces who I grew up with. It was a joy to read them and tell them stories. They were made-up stories, funky stories. I would include characters such as the Burger King or my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. It was a joy to read, to make up. It lasted a long time, and my sister got a little angry with me sometimes for making the bedtime a little bit longer than it should be. But I had fun, and that was my inspiration.
And you were what? How about what age range were you when you were doing
Late
this?
teens?
18. So you were babysitting, and then
Yeah.
you just have a knack for telling stories.
Well, I enjoy it. Thank you.
Yeah, that yarn, right? That's wonderful. I think that's a great quality. I mean, and no wonder you became a middle school teacher. But who is your intended audience for this book? Like, what age group were you thinking of?
3 years old to 8 years old, it would be the intended audience and those who read to them.
Yes, that's 3, and then you would have someone read this story to them. And did you think about the vocabulary, so you can keep a 3-year-old, let's say 8-year-old interested?
Yes, that came, excuse me, that came into play a lot. I wanted to make it easy enough to read, for them to read and understand.
And I do see a lot of imagery, lots of, descriptive words. And is that something that you work on in selecting?
Yes. When I tell a story, it just automatically comes out. I don't have a reference. I don't have a rhyming book with me. So when I had to actually make Funky Nicky, it was a little more difficult than free flow.
Oh, yes. Do you ever audio tape yourself?
Never.
Okay. Okay. Yes. And then, okay, so then what resources did you have to select this vocabulary? Did you look at other children's books?
I did. I have, of course, Dr. Seuss is everybody's idol.
Yes.
Miriam Young was an author I read to my nieces a lot. I think Patricia Thomas. Stand back, said the elephant, I'm going to sneeze. So those were the 3 main promoters for
So
me.
words that have a lot of sound to them, right? Some very exciting
Yes.
consonants. And was this a book that you decided to do, like when you were retiring, were you saying, oh, I'm going to write a book?
Never.
No?
Never.
Oh.
I'm not so sure where it came. Because of the storytelling, because it continues through, even I have a 7th grade grandson. He still asks for Funky Nicky stories. So it was not something that I had planned ever.
That's funny, because I would think as a middle school teacher, you've read so many stories and you're thinking, oh, I can probably write something better. But that's great. That's great. Just something just happened to you or after you retired. The illustration, because a children's book, very dependent on the illustration. And how did you find your illustrator?
I found our illustrators online. I had initially a very good liaison. I would describe, even sketch out what I thought the characters would look like. Because they're my family members, it was easy. So Jude with his glasses and, Sophia with her spunky, blunt cut hair. Joey is Asian, and so I had to make him half Asian, half American.
I understand that, yeah.
And so that gave me the descriptions, and they followed through really quite well.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you mentioned one time we were talking about this before this interview, even the lumberjack plaid shirt. Was that something?
Yes, my husband wears plaid flannel shirts all the time, jeans, sneakers.
So
he does look like a lumberjack.
Yeah, so there you go. You had those images.
Yes.
In your head. And then, so is it hard to communicate that to an illustrator?
No, not really. He was so in tune. He would ask me questions and was really engaged in getting it right. And then we'll talk about what happened after that.
Yeah, yes. And so, and this is how long ago did you engage this illustrator? Like while you had a manuscript or after you finished?
While.
Okay.
He was great with input also. I have one character who is Nicky's mom,
Mm-hmm.
rather plump.
Mhm.
And so he said, well, I don't want to disrespect your characters,
Yeah.
but is this going to be okay if I did it this way?
Yeah. And so is this mostly on Zoom or a phone, or how do where is this illustrator with these thing, with somebody you met in person?
Never.
Yeah.
I think they're based in California. So
Okay.
it was all over the phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And yeah, and you well, tell us more. I guess tell us more. Is this a illustrator just independently work out of an art studio, or?
It's a company. Unfortunately, they had a lot of turnovers.
Mm.
So Matthew, who was my liaison, was transferred to a different department. Then things kind of fell down a little bit. They were not as proactive as Matthew was. And so delays came, changeover staffs again for some reason. I'm not so sure what happened in that company, but
Yes, I see.
that delayed the process.
I see. I have heard, though, from this program that illustrators do tend to jump around from one assignment to another.
Okay.
But that's perfectly fine. It looks like it turned out well for you.
It did.
And let's see, what did you have to choose let's say the style of the art? Because I can see that it's a very like artwork, like children's artwork. Right?
I had only the description was my input. They came up with what the character looked like. I gave clothing choices, patterns, but they came up with the actual illustration.
All right. And then the cover, is that was it up to you to select, or to give you 3 choices? Or
they didn't give me choices. I did choose it. I lived at 334 Hudson Street in Buffalo, New York. So I wanted that to be the cover. And they did a great job with it.
Oh, so that even the house is...
The house, flowers.
Yeah, so many factual elements to a fictitious...
Very good, yes,
book,
you were right.
Fiction book. That's very fun. I think you have a lot of good memories to share with people.
I do.
I think that's the genuine part of it. And what was that unexpected difficulty?
The turnover with the illustrators. It seemed like an open door. I had a different illustrator every other week initially, and then we solidified.
And how long was this incubation period? Were when did you feel like, oh, this was going to be a product, like something you can hold? Because we tell stories to kids all the time.
Right.
And we hardly ever think about the story again.
Oh, how long did it take?
Yes, for you to realize
Maybe
it has to be in print.
5 months.
Okay, wow. So were your grandchildren very excited, or how did they react?
Very excited. They couldn't wait to see themselves in the book and how I thought they looked like.
Yes, and putting people in your real life family in the book, that could be a tricky issue, huh?
No, they loved it.
They loved it.
No,
Okay.
maybe 1 part or 2 parts.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like a great adventure to have together.
Yes.
What kind of, let's say, think about what did you discover about yourself in writing this book?
Telling stories, as I've said, was so easy. The difficult part were deadlines, putting it on paper. That's something I never did. I can sit and talk and even rhyme if I needed to tell a story. But actually putting pen to it was not easy for me.
Isn't that funny when you think about like creating a work? Speaking and writing should go hand in hand. But
Right.
They seem to be 2 parts of our brains.
Not for me. It wasn't easy.
So what kind of organization you had to do? How did you organize it?
I thought character per character, gave a good amount of time for each one, knowing what they look like, knowing their idiosyncrasies, knowing how they would say things. That's how I planned it.
And isn't a children's book, they have some kind of page limit? Did you have to work with that? How do you keep it within 30 pages?
I did not have an issue with that at all.
Okay. Yes. And Yeah. So do you have a writers group that you bounce off?
No.
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 Really? That is great to see the product. That was something that you didn't have that. And what are some reader responses you've had?
Well, I went to. It was really me telling the stories, but the people who read Meet Funky Nicky enjoyed the back page of the book. So there's a lot of characters who come in and out of Meet Funky Nicky. So I put the picture of each character's face and can you name them? So that helped out to identify them, and whoever the reader was, they would go back to the book and say, well, this is, Nicky's neighbor.
Yes, it's very interactive.
Yes.
Do you find children are more develop their verbal skills by
Oh,
doing that?
I would hope so.
Yes, there is something I see that with books. There was the opportunity to develop language.
Yes.
And develop, let's say, vocabulary, right?
Yeah.
That is very well. Good. That's what I enjoy in your book when I looked at it.
Thank you.
That there was this opportunity to converse. Right?
Mhm. Yes.
I mean, our children are losing that.
Yes.
How do you do it? How do you help your children develop that communication skill, or grandchildren perhaps right now?
Yeah. It's a safe place when you are with somebody who loves to read, who loves to tell stories. So making them feel the laugh when they're supposed to be funny, or sad when they're saying something serious. So interacting with their emotions and their output was the key.
Can you give us an example?
Oh boy. Well, in the book, our youngest grandson, Joey, he doesn't really have a weird big toe. But in the book, I made it so he has a great sense of humor, and I know he would take it well. So when I went to his class to read, I read the part of Joey's weird big toe. And the class just erupted. And I said, Joey, take off your sock. Show everybody your weird big toe. And he, no. And that was even more eruptive. So that kind of thing. And he loved it, and it was a joy.
Oh, I think that builds confidence. My goodness, for a middle school, age, student, that is being barefoot. I think that's more embarrassing than I don't know, like going shirtless. So is it
Joey's
funny?
in second grade.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Yeah,
Jude
so-
is the middle schooler. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, try that.
Oh
I know.
boy, I don't know if I'd put him through that.
Right? It's funny, isn't it? During different developmental phases,
Yes.
what is comfortable and uncomfortable
Yes.
is so different.
Middle school is a joy to teach, though. It really is for me.
Yes,
It was.
let's share why is it? I always think that's the hardest age to teach. Why do you enjoy it or miss it?
Yeah. Everybody asks that. It's different. You have to click, you have to connect, and you have to understand where they come from. Because I taught literature at Language Arts, writing was huge. And I would get many letters or whatever assignment that I instructed, things that came out that they were confiding in me. And so a couple times I had to go to the superintendent and say, I'm not so sure where I should go with this. I need your help. Yeah. So I'm very glad that they trusted me and confided in me. So you get things that are not so pleasant to hear or read.
And it is that time where their self-awareness
Yes.
develops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see that's a very special age to teach.
I loved it.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. And so how have you shared? You said you read the story for your grandson in the second grade. How else? I mean, is that one way you shared your book with the Glenview community?
Yes. I had a backyard book read in my backyard and in a friend's backyard. I went to the Glenview Library for a meet and greet.
That's how I found you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that's about it.
And those are wonderful opportunities. Do you look forward to more?
I do. Actually, I went to my grandchildren's kindergartens to read, and then Joey's second grade class tutoring. So that was a self-promoter right there.
Those sound like fun
They have fun.
experiences. So is this part of your marketing plan, or do you don't think about that at all?
You know, I really don't. I didn't do it for an income. I did it for true joy and a legacy for my family.
Is some of our authors share the same sentiment? They do just go to different schools to share something fun and genuine and something that makes people laugh, right? And being able to laugh at the big toe. I mean, it's just something innocent where we have to, remember. So what advice do you have for someone who's maybe looking into writing a picture book?
You know, because I went in blindly and just put myself out there, I'm going to suggest doing the same thing. There may not be a formula for how you do it, what you do. If you love telling stories, do it. Take a chance. Don't give up. Put yourself out there.
And what about illustrating? Because I think you draw a little, don't you?
Never.
Okay. So that is...
You wouldn't want my illustrations in a book.
You definitely would say go with a professional illustrator.
Yes. Yeah, I would. Unless you have some art background. I don't.
And do you have a website?
I do. Joanne Verney author.com.
And do you manage it yourself?
I do.
Okay. And how did you learn to?
That's a good question. I really am not tech savvy at all. My husband has been a main hero to me for that. So he's helped a lot.
And do you, what kind of things you would suggest to other authors to have on your website? What's important to have on the website?
Yeah. Maybe samples of books that you enjoy, that you admire, other authors. Blurbs of quotes, maybe.
Reader response?
Reader response. Yeah.
Now, those sound like good tips because usually we don't hear that. Yeah, so that's wonderful. Then how do you think your book will connect people?
Well, just the fact that somebody is going to be reading to them is a wonderful connection. Giving your book to kindergarten classes, book reads.
At the meet and greet. Yeah, with the Glenview Library.
That was
meet and greet. Yes, what did you learn there about the Glenview public, maybe?
I didn't have many there were more passersby than actually strangers who came up. I did have neighbors who supported me, and they came up and said hello. And but it was a lot of just walking past basically all of the 4 authors who were there.
Mm-hmm. Well, then, how did you feel about the support from your neighbors?
Oh, they were wonderful. It was, I had no idea who was going to be there, who came. And my grandson's friend's mom bought a book. And it wasn't really to promote sales, honestly. It was just to say hello to the community.
I totally understand that. Wow. Okay. Then, I understand that we had talked before the interview that you moved to Glenview rather recently, maybe within the last under 5 years.
About 6 years.
Yes. Wow. And what connects you to Glenview? What kind of, what do you enjoy about Glenview so far?
I have one of our twin daughters and 2 grandkids who live a half a mile down the street. That's a main connection right there. I go to Old Lady of Perpetual Help Church, and I'm an 8th grade catechist getting the kids through confirmation, volunteer.
Wow, that sounds like a good segue, for a middle school teacher. Isn't that the perfect middle school age for?
They are great kids, and they don't have to be there, and they oftentimes really don't want to be there. So it's my job to pump them up a little bit.
Yeah, make it
fun.
And how long is that kind of program?
It starts about mid-September through the end of April. End of March, excuse me.
Wow, so that is a good 6 months, right? So that sounds really like a perfect commitment for a retired middle school
I love it because you're teaching and no pressure.
Any grading involved?
No, I have to look at like SAINT reports
Yes.
or, but no grading. I gave homework.
So which saint have you learned more about
Oh,
from them?
boy.
Because there's so many. Right?
Yes. A lot picked St. Joseph. Many throughout the years have picked St. Joseph because of his relationship with Mary.
Can you tell us a little more about your, I believe you're of Italian
Yes.
background? And you told me once that St. Joseph is very important to the Italian community. Can you tell me
Yes.
more?
St. Joseph, my grandfather's name was St. Joseph. So that right there was a wonderful connection, was Joseph. And because he was a humble worker and our family were peasant Italians initially, we had that wonderful connection with him. He's the protector and the guide for Italians today.
Now, before this interview, you told me something about a table. Do they set at what is that?
Yes.
For St. Joseph.
It's a St. Joseph's table that they do in March. It is the community comes together, parishioners. There's food, icons, prayer. It's just a lot of wonderful camaraderie in addition to honoring St. Joseph.
Oh, so it's a special time of the year.
It is.
That's really interesting. I have never.
It's gone by the wayside in many parishes, though, I think, but it's never too late to resurrect.
Yes. It's always so much to learn about the saints. I personally find saint stories are fascinating and inspirational. Well, can you tell us, a little bit more about how your faith, this moving here in Glenview, was important for you to find a good place for your faith?
Yes. Initially, prior to living in Glenview, we lived in South Carolina. The faith base is very different in the South, in Glenview.
A lot of Catholic.
No,
right?
no.
I don't know much about the South, but I heard that it's very, this is very small, Catholic population.
Yes.
And then coming here, how did you find OLPH?
It was easy to find. I think that might have been the first church. It's close to our home, so that's the first church that we attended.
So it was your daughter, involvement. Okay, so you came across OLPH. It's a wonderful, huge parish. So many people, and so many programs they do for this community. Can you name a couple programs that they do other than the catechism?
Other than catechism. There's men's club, women's club, prayer service, the Rosary Club. Those are to name a few,
So I think you definitely have made your move here much better. Yeah. So you have this wonderful community.
Welcoming community, yes.
Very good. Well, you have a lot of stories, I think. So Meet Funky Nicky is just the beginning, isn't it?
It is. I do have a second book in process now. It's a sort of a continuation to Meet Funky Nicky.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, and we hope to have you back when your second book
I would
is
love
ready.
it.
And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for watching. Join us next time on Off the Show.